Today is September 22nd, 2024, and I'm going to be showing you how to dual boot using LinuxMint LMDE edition and PuppyLinux, specifically F96-CE4. And first thing what you have to do is, I find it most convenient to boot into a Ventoy flash drive, as I have it here. So this, I have a one flash drive, and then we're gonna enter, and this is a Ventoy USB stick, and we're gonna go into F96-CE4 ISO, which is PuppyLinux, and we'll enter again, normal mode. And then we only need the RAM only. We don't need to worry anything about the save folders. So we'll just go to the RAM only. We'll only be using this so we can format the new hard drive, which is SSD here in internal hard drive. So Alt F4 will close this window. Alt F4 will also close it again. And you can see that there is one hard drive, SDA1, SDA, and then this is Ventoy stick. So, and the first thing what we want to do is go to right click and system and go down to gparted, and then we'll get ready to partition the hard drive. And this only applies to UEFI BIOS. So what we want to do is, there is a one hard drive here. We want to go to our device, create partition table. Because this is a UEFI machine, what we want to do is use the GPT files table system. So GPT, and then apply, and it's going to wipe everything out again in the hard drive. Now we will do is go ahead and new, and then we're going to get a grub partition. So we will go down to, we only need about 500 megabytes. And then we'll go down to, it has to be a FAT32 partition, and then we'll put in a label of EFI and ALT add, and then so we're going to this is going to be the main grub partition. So, and then now we're going to make a little space for LinuxMint. So for LinuxMint we need about 30 gig. And then this is Mint, and then ALT add, ext4 is fine. And now what we'll do is add the little partition for PuppyLinux. So if you're going to have more than one PuppyLinux, triple booting with the LinuxMint and so on, you'll need, generally speaking, you don't need much space. PuppyLinux doesn't, puppies don't take much space. So let's just assume that we're going to give about 2 gig, so 2000 MB, and we'll just put in a label of pups. So this should be more than enough to install 3 or 4 puppies, but this should be plenty. And then what we'll do is, because of PuppyLinux is somewhat unique, that it's very important to, in my opinion, to have a separate partition for save folder. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put in a little save folder here, and then well, let's just give it about 30 gigs. So this should be more than enough for at least two PuppyLinux save folders. So we'll just go ahead and give it a label of capital SAV. So this is save partition. This is where I do it, and I find it. Go ahead and do that. And then now, what we'll need is we'll need another grub partition. This is for PuppyLinux grub. We only need it because so we can get a correct menu list wording, so we can add to the primary grub partition later. So this really doesn't need much space, but we'll give it a plenty of a 500 MB, and then this has to be again in FAT32, and this is Puppy EFI, so EFI ALT add. So now option is go ahead and add the swap partition if you so generally speaking in PuppyLinux you don't need a swap if you have more than 4 gig of RAM, but because we be using the LinuxMint also, we'll just go ahead and give it a 8, so that should be more than enough, and we'll give it a Linux swap, and then we're going to add. And now I realize there's a whole bunch of space we're not using, but this is that's okay. We're just going to click apply, and this shouldn't take long. So, and then next step is important, that we need to put in a proper flag on EFI partitions. So there's one, and then we'll right click and then manage flags, and then ESP needs to be clicked, and then boot also gets clicked at the same time. So that's fine. And now that's for a LinuxMint partition. This is what we're gonna use for a Puppy partition. So again, same ESP and boot flag gets clicked, and then okay, and then now it's all ready. So next step, so the partition scheme, this is what I recommend, and this works well. Into a Ventoy stick again, but this time we will boot into LMDE LinuxMint. So we'll just continue on, we'll close, and then leave, reboot, and we don't save, there's no need to save. So F12, okay, so there's just a Ventoy Samsung flash drive, so we'll just go ahead and click, and now we need to click on LMDA DE6 Cinnamon Edition. So this is LinuxMint, enter again, and then start LMDE. So now you can see the LMDA LinuxMint. What we're going to do is right click on this icon, open, and then we're going to start installing into internal hard drive. So let's go is fine, English is fine, and I'm in LA area, Pacific time, so that's fine, and US is fine. And then I'll go ahead and enter computer name 910, that's optional, or you can go ahead and name whatever you want. And then I'll click on automatic, login automatically, enter. And now it's important that we go ahead and use the partition scheme that we already made. So we're gonna click on that, next. And then here is the where the bootloader is gonna be. So we'll go ahead and edit, and then format as VFAT. Okay, and then this here is where we're gonna put in the LinuxMint. So here, my point is gonna be root, format is already set, but we'll go ahead and ext4 is fine. And then swap, format as swap, okay. Now we should be able to load up the LinuxMint into internal hard drive. So next, so here's grub menu is going to be on SDA, which is correct. Next, and that should all be correct. Install. So this will take a few minutes, and that's basically how you go ahead and do the initial install of the into the hard drive of a LinuxMint. Installation of LinuxMint took a little over 5 minutes. Now I've booted into a Ventoy stick again, and here's Ventoy. Now we'll have to install F96-CE4. So we'll go ahead and then we're going to F96-CE4-ISO, and then enter again. And then we're gonna just mainly install it into internal hard drive, so RAM only is fine for now. So now ALT F4, and then F12, and then we'll go down to setup, and then go down to all the way down to flexible frugal installer. And then the first thing we'll have to do is settings, and then go to separate save location to make sure that it uses the save partition, and then use autosave is fine, okay. And then Puppy. Now I've booted with the CE4, so I do want to just install CE4, so we can just use this Ventoy stick, and okay. And then we're gonna put it in Puppy, under Pups, and then create folder. We'll just create a folder CE, just in case later on you want to install any other PuppyLinux. And then here you want to, after you type in CE, you wanna return. You wanna tap on return key, and then okay. Then, and then it wants to know the save location. So save partition is under SAV here. And then again, we're gonna create a separate folder within it. So we'll name this one is a lowercase save. And then here again, enter, and then okay. So it's gonna save into SDA4 under save. That's all fine, okay. And then it's written. Now we wanna boot loader. So boot, and then SDA is DA3 is where the CE4 is, which is okay. This is CE, and then okay again. Now we want to make sure that it's in the right boot partition. But here, let me just do this again. I need to get into gparted again, because I've lost the second. I forgot to make a second partition for Puppy. So this 500, and then we want to again FAT32, and we want to put in the label of EFI, and then add. So here we've added here, and then we want to give it okay. And then close, and then we're gonna make sure that this partition has a managed flags and ESP. Okay, and close. Now that's where the Puppy, the graph file should go. So let me just go back again and boot. And then this is where the SDA3 is okay, and that's okay. CE4 is okay. Now we see the SDA5 where we want to get a Puppy bootloader, so that's okay. Now we only need UEFI F64, which is fine, and then OK. OK. Now we're essentially finished. Now what we need to do is copy the menu list in SDA5, grub configure, and we'll open it with Genie, and then we'll make the font a little bigger. So zoom in, okay, so is that better? Zoom in again, okay. So now we also want to, I know the LinuxMint grub partition was 1, but actually there is a grub CFG, but that doesn't have much of a configuration. So it's actually, it tells you that it's actually in the boot menu in a partition 2 and under grub. And then this is the boot menu for LinuxMint. So we load that up, and then again the font is small. So let me just go ahead and interface, make this bigger, 14 maybe. That should be bigger, apply. Now so this is the menu entry for LinuxMint. We'll just go a little bit further down. Let me make this maximal. And here is the advanced option. Here's the main option for initial LinuxMint. So right below this here, bracket, I'm gonna enter, and this is where the Puppy menu should go in. So we'll just go back to Puppy menu. This is the Puppy, and then this is menu entry. Let me just go ahead and drag it with my left, and then we need to go here, and this is, and we need to right click and then copy, and then we want to insert this right here into the main grub in LinuxMint. So that looks good. So that looks good. We're gonna save that, and then let me just close all the others, and then we really don't need that partition system gparted, and then now we really do not need a Puppy partition, grub partition. So we're just gonna click it here and then unmount and then delete. So that's gone, and then we're gonna apply. And if everything's done correctly, we should get a boot menu that contains the Puppy and LinuxMint. So we're just gonna leave and boot, and no save. And then I'm gonna pull out the Ventoy stick now, and you should get into the main grub menu. So that we'll just see. Okay, now you see LMDE here, and you also see PuppyLinux. Okay, so I know before that it went into LMDE fine for setup screen and so on, but we'll go ahead and check the PuppyLinux CE4. So now here's a quick screen. So now you've had successfully installed both LinuxMint LMDE edition and Fossapup. So from now on, you have to create a save folder. So.